the concept evolve, rightly so. In order to stay connected with what is happening outside of our organizations and keep the concept relevant, we need to come together and discuss current events and their significance for the agenda. Otherwise, we lose touch with the reality and the nearly 4 billion women around the world. Networks, such as the Friends of Europe Women's Thought Leadership Network, provide a unique and crucial platform to fill the gaps and facilitate the exchange of ideas, experiences, and perspectives. It is only by listening to each other, working together, and incorporate homogeneous standpoints in our approaches, we can succeed in achieving gender equality for all.
I don't know whether you noticed, but I'm wearing special colours today. Wondering, the question was raised about what's this network going to do, and where does the politics come in? Because that was the question. Actually, politics is the question about Afghanistan, about women's rights in the world, and the other question, obviously, about violence and the definition of rape. So those are the two sort of politics, small or large P. And I don't know what we should do about it, but I think that we should be making recommendations that are we going to become a lobby group that can influence things like what's happening in the council, the definition of rape, things that say we're not accepting what is being done in these countries to our women, because we're all our women. You know, we should be standing up for rights, not just in our own street, but around the world. So have we got the capacity? I haven't got the answer. Have we got the capacity as a group to do something political? But I think it would be a good idea.
I think we need to figure out that.
Involved in the negotiations of the Good Friday Agreement and elected Deputy Speaker of this Assembly, so it's going to be very impossible for me to say all of this in 800 words that she's given me. So, starting with, I was born in Belfast, I was a teenager when the trouble started. That was the longest running conflict in post-war European history. Correct me if I'm wrong, but three decades of conflict. And you know, it's difficult to imagine what life was like for us back then. The strangest thing was that bombs and shooting and rioting and curfews and murder and mayhem on our streets was normal. I know if we travelled abroad and said, you know, we were from Belfast, people used to say, how do you live there? Our answer was always, oh, it's perfectly okay, go to school, do everything. Strange, we were taught to treat it as if it was normal. Of course it wasn't safe and secure. It was dangerous even to go shopping in the city centre. You had to open your bag, get checked everywhere. Police and army checkpoints everywhere. You could be stopped and searched on your way home from school. You know, you've got windows blown in as ours were in my home. And bomb blasts close by. But, you know, we either decided to keep our heads down, or in fact I have to add one to that. Either join up, keep your heads down, or get out. And myself, my brother, and my sister did the last. The three of us got out. And by the way, a terribly sad thing to my mum actually packed our bags. She didn't want us to.
Sub-regional organizations have action plans and strategies on WPS as well. 14 countries have adopted a feminist foreign policy or have announced they will do so. And we need to remember that a decade ago, only half of the plans had a monitoring framework with indicators, and now 85% have one. So it is really substantial, it's substantial progress. And this is really important to have those national action plans and regional action plans. So it's significant and we need to highlight the progress, but the WPS agenda continues to be considered secondary. We also have to face reality. Secondary to national security policy, with laws and policies lacking context-specific and gender-sensitive analysis, and often focusing on women as victims.
Visit by the Mali Army with their foreign, no one specifies correctly, from their foreign military partners. And the Malian Foreign Ministry the minister in that Security Council meeting himself just did everything he could to belittle her experience and undermine her credibility, saying, we don't know who she is, we don't know who she represents, what organisation she works for, which is absolute nonsense. Like, she's the head of CASAL, which is a well-known human rights observatory focusing on pastoral communities in the Sahel. She knows her stuff. She knew what she was talking about, and this is a key issue to conflict dynamics. She then had a vicious social media campaign immediately afterwards, including again appeals to kill her, had to go into hiding. And again, these things don't only happen to women, but there tends to be, in my opinion at least, this special flavour when it happens to women.
Wondering, the question was raised about what's this network going to do, and where does the politics come in? Because that was the question. Actually, politics is the question about Afghanistan, about women's rights in the world, and the other question, obviously, about violence and the definition of rape. So those are the two sort of politics, small or large P. And I don't know what we should do about it, but I think that we should be making recommendations that are we going to become a lobby group that can influence things like what's happening in the council, the definition of rape, things that say we're not accepting what is being done in these countries to our women, because we are all our women. You know, we should be standing up for rights, not just in our own street, but around the world. So have we got the capacity? I haven't got the answer. Have we got the capacity as a group to do something political? But I think it would be a good idea.
I think we need to figure out.
Frustration. We have a country office in Afghanistan, and I really vividly remember August. I remember also the state of the situation of my own colleagues, my international colleagues, my national colleagues as well. And I really feel very close to you on this. I want to mention that the UN has decided, and including UN Women, to stay and deliver no matter what. So we have an office, we stay with this office, and we will continue to support women of Afghanistan and women's rights organizations wherever they operate in the margins we have. So that's a really important commitment, and I also personally feel very connected to my colleagues in the country, because I mean, there are so many bans that happened in the past months, but the last one was to just forbid UN staff to work.
I know.
UN staff to work.
Every month something against women.
Okay. So it's just one in a series of one after the other. So I just want to mention we had on International Women's Day, we chose to show a movie here in Beaux-Arts on Afghanistan and the plea of an Afghan refugee in Europe, and she's now a soccer player. And we had invited Mazia Hamidi, who is also a very energized sportswoman who is going to play for the Paris Olympics in 2024. And I'm also energized by the energy that comes from her and from so many Afghan women in the world to continue the fight. So I encourage you also to continue doing so. But I'm really